What's up, guys? Nightingale here. Welcome back to another balance adjustment preview. Today we're going to be covering 927's balance preview. Now, before we get started, this is what today's stream is going to be. If you need to go be this person, please go find another YouTuber because I have no time for you. I have zero time for you. So if that's you, please leave the video now. All right, before we get started, I want to tell you a story. Story time. Because this story is important for today's balance patch. This story takes us back to a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away that some of you may not even remember. Some of you may have not even been playing yet when this story began oh so long ago. And I'm talking about the March 29th, 2022 Balance Adjustment Survey Review, where the clowns came out from Epic 7 in droves. One of the most disgraceful 22,891 player participation events that Epic 7 has ever seen was this joke of a survey right here. One of the most crazily uninformed things and honest, just blatant, there was even a couple blatant things where the community was like, go vote for this unit so it gets a thing. It wasn't natural. There was nothing natural about this, especially when you started seeing some of the answers. So we're not going to sit here and rag on this because I've already done this. If you want to go back, I thoroughly roasted this video a year ago. But what this brings us to is the first question. The 5-star Moonlight hero that is rarely used and needs to be considered for balance adjustments the most. When we talked over that year, the one thing everybody kept saying about a unit that is going to get featured today is they're not used, they're crap, they're bad. Then every veteran that actually had a brain the size of a mustard seed, so if you were smaller than that, that was already, wow. But if you had a brain the size of a mustard seed, you knew that this one unit didn't really need a buff. They were just very, 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 very gear carried. Meaning you had to invest a lot of time into this unit and then it paid off. Now, something to consider here is this. There is a thing called balance behind a grind. Meaning, in order for this unit to be great and excel, it took a lot of upfront investment cost and time. Meaning that the new player, or the average, I play just to collect my waifus or my husbandos, you know, the one that has to sit there and watch the censored versions. You guys are the ones that vote and say, this person needs a buff. Because you didn't see the full picture. You didn't spend the time investment into it. You didn't go see and experience how nasty this could be. Now, sure, over the last year and a half, it's been a crusade against anti-counterattack. We've seen it with units that just had no business getting, cannot be counterattacked, or skills showing up. Cannot be triggered, or cannot trigger a counterattack, or just straight suppress counterattacks. And it forced you into thinking you needed a buff. Sure, I will go out and say a tweak might be out there, maybe some damage numbers, you know, maybe a little twist, a little something. But an actual buff, you're crazy. You're actually crazy. This is one of those units that if you put it in the right scenario, it thrives already. But it required a high gear investment. All right? So, that's right. That ML Ken today is getting a buff. And it's only here to appease the people who voted for the survey. That is all this is here for. 8.1% of the community out of the 21,000 people that voted in that stupid survey You're finally getting your wish. Know that the bed you have made, you now must sleep in. All right? Understand that. You made this bed, you sleep in it. Now, there's going to be a lot of you cheering up and down. No. This isn't something to cheer about because this takes away some of that. Sure, it gets people into it easier, and they can use this unit better. But you're mistaken at what you've just asked for. So, let's fast forward. And let's move on deeper into the preview. So, number 1, the balance adjustment targets for this balance patch. Martial Artist Ken, Twisted Kairon, Bihu, Eligos, I have no idea how you say your name, Moon Bunny Dominial, Crescent Moon Rin, ML Ricardo, and Shadow Knight Phyllis. Kairon's new. Bihu is relatively new. Eligos is new. Dominial's new. And then Rin, Ken, Kawazu, and Phyllis are older units. 4 of these have been released this year. This year have been released in this balance patch. 4 of these technically are cleave units in here. Or cleave setup units. Let's jump into this. All right. First and foremost, ML Ken. ML Ken's first skill, Knockout. Again, the way we always do this is we don't really read too much over the original. We just go after the after, and then we assess. So, Knockout, which is a skill 1. Batters the enemy with a 100% chance to provoke for 1 turn. Now, this is removing the attack down. Could or could not be valuable in the grand scheme of things, because you're going to want to bring him to you so that, you get hit. ML Ken wants to be targeted. Makes sense. We can justify that. But now here's where things get a little weird. They've changed it. Now his Soul Burn, increased damage dealt and a successful attack will always result in a critical hit. They've removed that from his S1. It was, if he just critical hit, successful hit was a critical hit on his, or a critical attack on his S1. Now they're changing up all of his stuff, and they're moving it around to give the 100% chance, changing around the damage numbers a little bit to equate to what it needs to be. And then we move on to his passive, Dragon Flame. Now, we are going to cover some of the red here because this is a big what are you doing moment. And this also just goes back to something else that we should probably point out, and that is the effectiveness versus ER thing. They do not care. It is 100% obvious. They do not care. And here's why. They remove his 30% effective resistance. Well, that's great because now that means it's now going to be balanced and everything. Really? Guys, come on. Think about this. You start with 100% effectiveness. We start with no effect resistance. Other than 15%, because that's what the game gives us. 15% is there to protect the player base, so that you can't be perma-controlled. As they continue to put in ignore effect resistance after ignore effect resistance after ignore effect resistance into the game. You think they care about 30% effect resist? Why not give you the head start? That's 30% less than I technically needed. Now that's 30% worse than what I needed. Oh, but this is going to make this balance. All right, well, let's read it. At the start of the battle, grants vigor for 3 turns. All right, so that's 30 defense and 30 attack. Great. All right, cool. Can't be strict. Awesome. When an ally, except for the caster, suffers a critical hit, he counterattacks, punches you in the face, and some of you in the lower groin regions. And when the caster suffers a critical hit, counterattacks with Dragon Flame. Dragon Flame attacks the enemy with a kick, penetrates the target's defense by 40%. A successful attack will always result in a critical hit, dealing damage proportional to the caster's lost health. All right, neat. Why did we strip 30 F-res from him just for that fact? Other than now, when somebody gets punched and they suffer a critical hit, he punches you in the face. Okay? And when he gets punched in the face, he punches you in the face harder. So, yeah, I get we are getting vigor, but why do we lose the F-res? Why was that necessary? What unit is going to be going in and going, yeah, no, having 30 extra F-res here is really going to make the big difference in me winning or losing? Because let's be real. The debuffers who will debuff this man at this point are either going to full commit and debuff, or I promise you, he resists it regardless. So that 30% just helped balance stats out in the beginning. It wasn't defense he needed. It wasn't attack he needed. It was the resistance to not be controlled. That's the whole point of ML was to not be controlled. And he did his job. If he got controlled, he didn't do his job. Or LQC bonks him and it was over to begin with. It was one of those two options. So, okay. So he's going to be doing more damage. He's going to counterattack more often. This is going to be annoying for some people, especially AoE units. You're going to have to deal with him, or you're going to have to ban him outright because he's there. He's coming to say hi on the first critical hit. And they're also going to increase the damage dealt, they're decreasing damage dealt of Dragon Flame because they added the 40% defense pin. So again, just notice that they're once again devaluing a stat. Let's be real. Most of the people who use this aren't going up against super tanky units anyway. Or if they are, they're mostly HP based and they have low defense already because they're kind of greedy and wanting the other stats. Bellion. So, all right, let's keep going. So, the Awakened version, because again, nobody plays this game with the unawakened units. The Coming of Asura attacks the enemy with a powerful ground pound with an 80% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns and increases attack of the caster for 2 turns. A successful attack will always result in a critical hit. His S3 will now do more damage. So, keep in mind, this isn't really the big thing of his kit because he's slow as molasses because he needs as many stats as possible. You don't want him taking turns. You want him to retain the buffs as long as possible that you put on him. You are wanting him to be the beast in the back who's just getting pounded on. So, it's not about getting the defense break off. Screw that. It's not about getting the attack buff off because chances are you're putting something else on him to begin with. But just think about this for a second. You've now given him literally Gab. You're getting 50% from an attack buff, 30% from Vigor. You've given him greater attack buff. Baked in. So he's gonna be smacking the crap out of somebody. Just saying. And it's for 3 turns he has Vigor. So, they removed his damage dealt on his soul burn of his S3. I mean, I kind of understand why, because it's like, you're never going to take that turn. But at the same time, I don't know why you're going to want to soul burn his S1. I mean, I get it. You're trying to get the... You're going to want the critical hit, because, I mean, it's... this doesn't... It makes sense, but it doesn't make sense, and it's... Let's see what they have to say about it. Let's see their justification of these changes. that this is what you guys voted for. You wanted ML buffed. Here is this is Super Creative's words to you, the people, the 8% that voted that ML needed a buff. Here is their explanation of why they did this. Martial Artist Ken will receive enhancements to bolster his critical hit suppression abilities. First, his effect of counterattacking when attacked at a certain rate will be modified to counterattack 100% when an ally, excluding him, suffers a critical hit, aka everybody. The adjustment will allow him to exert greater influence in battle when the enemy targets allies other than himself inflicting a critical hit. Because again, everybody runs pretty much 100% crit everywhere. Additionally, the knockout effect triggered by his counterattack is now inflicts a debuff to provoke instead of reducing attack. This alteration will make it easier for him to draw the enemy's attention by suppress them with Dragon Flame. Furthermore, hold on. Actually, you know what? I'll read it and then we'll come back to that. Furthermore, the effect resistance boost at the start of the battle will replace with Vigor buff lasting 3 turns, enhancing his overall early stage combat efficiency. No. Lastly, the damage dealt by the coming of Asura will increase and the Soul Burn effect will be transferred to Knockout. This inclusion of the new Soul Burn effect will enable him to amplify his damage inflicted by Knockout and guaranteeing a critical hit when the attack is successful, allowing him to deal significant damage on his turn as well. All right, back to that other sentence. Do you remember what I just said a few minutes ago, that you start with 100% effectiveness? So if you are a person who builds some effect resistance into any of those units, you're going to be able to land that provoke already, all right? But if anybody starts running any sort of, and it's even, and to be fair, it's not even 100% chance, it's 85, because you have to remember 15% exists. So he has an 85% chance baked into the game to provoke that unit, because magical 15% could make it resist. So you're not building effectiveness on your ML Kin. If you're a person who starts building effectiveness on your ML Kin, you deserve the loss. The whole point is for him to be tanky, smack crap, and not get controlled. Us losing. Furthermore, the effect resist will be replaced by Vigor buff. You could have given him both, and it honestly wouldn't be overpowered. Because y'all don't understand. A lot of you don't grasp really the dire difference between F-res and effectiveness. You can chuck 100 effectiveness on a unit, and it's gonna control 90% of the game with near sheer just 15%. You'll land your debuffs 99% of the time. Even at 200% effect resistance, you can still control him with relative ease, because the investment you need in that control or the debuffing unit is much, much less than the 200 F-res I had to put into him. So now, not only are we losing 30 F-res off of him now like this, now that just makes it 30 less effectiveness you need to control him. But we're getting Vigor. What is Vigor gonna do if my ML Kin can't move? Or if my ML Kin's asleep? Or if my ML Kin is silenced? Or if, I mean, it's gonna be sealed anyway, because you're gonna Arc Demon it, and you'll seal his passive off, because Ignore Effect Resist is literally part of the game of her kit. So, you know, you're gonna seal his passive off. All right, well, that's not doing me any good. So I'm just there to not be provoked so I can go hit who I want, or I can use my S3 when I finally get there. It's so that you don't want him locked out. You don't want him being landed all these things. It's stupid. But we're getting Vigor buff on him. Great, cool. Who cares? 90% of you just picked up Conquer Aurelius. You're gonna have Vigor on him already. Moving on. Twisted Kairon, the worst unit in the game, actually got a buff. actually got a buff. So, voted the worst unit in the game finally gets its attention. Do they make him good? Do they make him balanced? Or do they make him overpowered? We're about to find out. What will they do? So, a wandering Eidolon. Eidolon. I have no idea how you say that. Whatever. At the start of the battle and at the end of the turn, adopts a counteracting stance for 1 turn. At the end of the enemy's turn, gains 10 fighting spirit. When fighting spirit is full, increases combat readiness of the caster by 50%. Combat readiness effect can only be activated once every 3 turns. Okay. So now anytime somebody moves before him, he gains 10 fighting spirit. An enemy that moves. Which is fine because chances are it's a lot of gotta go fast units, so he'll be getting there. So when he hits his full fighting spirit, bang, 50% CR boost. Alright, Sword of Requiem after the Awakening, because again, we don't care about the non-awakening. I don't even know why they put that in there, but it's there. Unleashes the power of the demonic sword to attack all enemies before consuming all fighting spirit. A successful attack will inflict 2,000 additional fixed damage, and fixed damage increase proportional to the amount. The fixed damage increases proportional to the amount of consumed fighting spirit. When the skill is available according to cooldown count, decreases damage suffered by 30% when suffering a critical hit. When one or more damage reduction effects is granted, only the strongest is applied, and they're increasing damage dealt overall behind the scenes. So, now what they're saying is it's now going to do 10,000 AoE fixed damage. This is a mechanic that is a blight to the game. Fixed damage needs one little small thing looked at. And that's things that say cannot be one shot, cannot be, damage suffered, cannot exceed this. It needs to be accounted for that, but it doesn't. The fixed damage comes after the initial damage hit. And I feel like this is an oversight in their coding of how they do this. Because theoretically, if you read Sage Vivian's passive, she should be able to eat the Rimuru S3 and take the whole thing, and it doesn't do a ton of damage. But it comes after. Or like your Tooth procs, it pops after the damage tick in this stuff. Fixed damage has been an excuse of, let's just add on attack for no reason. Well, now he's going to be able to still swing his 10,000 AoE just by consuming his fighting spirit. I would like to inform you that most cleave units are between 10, 12,000 HP. You just lightly smack them for 2k. Heck, I've seen tanks with their S1 taunt hit for 1,800 damage. You're just popping stuff at this point. Oh yeah, and Ken got buffed, by the way. ML Ken got a buff, and this got a buff. Now, arguably, yes, ML Kairon does need some tweaks, but I was hoping the fixed damage would be the thing they got rid of and went another direction. Because that does not need to be in the game. That is one of those things that is... It ignores so many different mechanics. Why? Why is this a thing? But it is. So, here you go. Now when he rips this, it's going to be fun seeing how people react to having 10,000 fixed damage go to their face and not being able to do a thing about it. Tanky units, that's half your HP. Gone. Alright, let's see how this goes. They thought this was what the game needed. Alright, let's go along for the ride. Let's see what they have to say. The improvements to Twisted Kairon will focus on refining his fighting spirit mechanism. Okay. Firstly, the condition to acquire fighting spirit through his skills Wandering Eidolon will be erased. Okay. Now he can accumulate fighting spirit when the target is not granted a buff. Cool. Everybody has buffs though, for the most part at this point. At the end of the enemy's turn, enabling him to gain fighting spirit more rapidly. Additionally, the skill that consumes fighting spirit will be relocated to Wandering Eidolon, Sword of Requiem. This change means that he will no longer be enraged when he has full fighting spirit. The combat readiness increasing effect will also be adjusted to activate every 3 turns. Basically, what this sounds like is this is going to be a one-off. Here he goes. Here's his CR push. Then he's going to come in, smack the crap out of absolutely everything. Then you're going to be wondering what just hit you in the face. And you're going to go, why did Rimuru just hit me on all 4 units? And then you're going to go, oh. Yeah. Because for those who don't get informed and don't watch these videos, don't pay attention to this, I can't wait to see their reactions going, what just hit me? Last time I saw Kairon, he hit like a wet noodle. Actually, I think the pasta hurt worse. And now they're going to go, where in the Kamehameha crap was that from? Yeah. Sword of Requiem will now deal additional fixed damage. That's terrifying. How much is that? Based on the amount consumed, how much consumed fighting spirit instead of relying on his enraged status. The maximum, okay, never mind. The maximum fixed damage will remain the same as before the change, but he can now inflict fixed damage on all enemies relative to fighting spirit. So you're not going to want to rip this until he has all fighting spirit to begin with. And when even if he doesn't have full fighting spirit, this increases the flexibility to enhance his combat versatility. No, it's just called eradication. To compensate the remove of the rage buff, the base damage dealt by Sword of Requiem will be slightly increased. All right. So he's just gonna smack a little bit harder. Cool. Fixed damage, guys. How do you balance fixed damage? Mitigation doesn't really help. Damage reduction doesn't help. It's just raw damage to the face. Why does this exist? Why does this exist? Why do you think this is a fun mechanic to put in a game? But it's here. Several units are now getting this. And honestly, we abuse it almost every Guild War because everybody thinks that Conqueror Lilius, Shu, and Senya is such a great team comp that I use a 3-star laughing in your face every Guild War, beating her and those units with Hazel. Because, what? You want me to do what? You think I'm scared of this tower? No, it's easy. As long as Shu doesn't go ML5 mode, and counterattack, and extra attack, and floosh every single turn, I'm okay. But that's not a fixed damage issue, that's just y'all over-cracking normal Shu to an ML5. Outside of that, your anti-crit Snow Crystal, your Senya, I'm so scared. There's a reason why Roana is one of the most used RGBs in the game. It's because we're all throwing that S1 into Senya. It's because we're all sitting there getting the extra push and healing from all the counterattacks and extra attacks of that team. I chuck Deanne in there for the anti-crit to keep the rat from doing rat things when that works. But it's just there for extra heals. So that's just going in and eradicating that team. But here we go. Here is 10,000 fixed damage to the face. Let's see what ends up happening. I can't wait to see how this is going to play out. Number 1-1-2 Covenant 5 stars. Bihu. Keep in mind, this released this year. So, a cleave unit's getting buffed once again. Alright, so Scorching Flare after. Attacks the enemy with flames for 1 turn. When used on the caster turn, activates Incinerate instead of Scorching Flare. Incinerate attacks the enemy with an explosion of flames and burns for 1 turn before detonating the burns effects inflicted on the target at the end of the turn. The skill cannot trigger a dual attack. All right. So now it's just, instead of it being soul burned, it's just now activating. Popping the burns. Okay, cool. And then Symphony of Radiance awakened after. So, with light dispels 2 buffs from all enemies. Yay. Makes them unbuffable for 2 turns. Yay. Before increasing the combat readiness of the caster by 50%. Yay. And increases combat readiness of all allies, except for the caster, by 20%. Now his soul burn is, guess what? Decreases cooldown by 2 turns. So he can rip this more often. Just what we need, another dispeller. Yay. So, honestly, I just think people didn't really like Bihu, and that's why they weren't using him, I don't think. Again, they went back, and if we go back and roast them even further, remember, all these balance patches were supposed to help change the meta and make things better, because it needed to be adjusted. Just remember that. This needs to be here, guys. Bihu, a hero known for his ability to inflict substantial damage through burning effects. Hey, guys, remember Carrot? She was an ML5 for a very long time. What happened to her? Damage through burning effects, while also enhancing the damage dealt by burns on enemies. Will receive adjustments. The primary change is related to his main skill, Incinerate, which was previously triggered with a chance, rendering him unreliable and challenging to utilize effectively in battle. Or because there was no room for him on a team because better units exist. To address this, Scorching Flare will now always activate Incinerate when used on his turn. As a result, the Soul Burn effect that previously increased the chance of using Incinerate will be moved to Symphony of Radiance, and the effect is now changed to reduce its cooldown because we are unoriginal. But whatever. This adjustment allows Bihu to suppress enemies who frequently grant buffs more efficiently using his Soul Burn. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure like 90% of the game at this point is stripping. Every balanced patch, something's coming along and removing buffs somewhere. Shockingly, we haven't seen one actually added into their kit yet. Knock on wood. Eligos, or however you say his name. Vamp Daddy. The Cleaner. I'm not reading that because nothing changes. It's just they're increasing the damage dealt of his S1. Alright, so... Cloak and Trigger awakened. Increases hit chance of the caster. Increases the hit chance of the caster for 2 turns. Before attacking the enemy with a pistol. Dispels 2 buffs. Here's another one. And inflicting target and decreasing defense for 2 turns before decreasing combat readiness by 50%. Increases hit chance by 50%. your evasion unit? What evasion unit? What's evasion with hit chance? But alright, I kind of don't know what you're trying to kill with this, but alright. So he's got extra hit chance now. Let's go. Eligos will undergo improvements aimed at enhancing his attack reliability through improved hit chance. So they're trying to make him basically a colorblind RGB is what they're trying to do. He'll have a better chance at triggering different effects and landing the attacks on the enemies, even those with elemental disadvantage or high evasion. Why? Just it's okay for you to have rock, paper, scissors, guys. There's a reason he sucks is because something else is probably better. There's something else that's stopping him. He's a fire unit. If I remember correctly, he's a fire ranger. So you're going up against disadvantage of water. Clowns. Absolute clowns. Anyway. He'll have a chance to trigger different effects and attacks with elemental disadvantage. This will be achieved by his hit chance before attacking the enemy when he uses his skill, cloak, and trigger. The cleaner is activated while he has the critical hit chance buff. This will also apply to the hit chance effect of Time Bomb. This will help him inflict damage more consistently. Additionally, the damage dealt by Time Bomb will be significantly increased, making him easier to suppress enemies. Here's the thing that I don't think a lot of people understand. It's like they're trying to make everything do everything. We can't have... Why do we have elemental advantage and disadvantage? If everything's just gonna hit everything, if everything's gonna crit everything, if everything's gonna just mesh together and be something, why does elemental advantage even need to be a thing in this game if you're trying to undo that every balance patch? Everything they do and move towards is slowly taking away that gap of making actual choices. They don't, it's like, I get it. I understand that they're wanting the unit to be used more. But there's a reason people aren't using the unit. And it might be because they're going up against certain type colors. It might be because there's a unit that does something better. Or it's just overall, they just don't like the unit, or they don't have the unit. Or they don't have that unit geared because they can't gear that unit because they've got 3 other really fast units they've got to gear. So they can't gear that one as good, so they don't want to use it. But why must we consistently aim the game at making things less rock, paper, scissors and more, I can just put in whatever I want and it's going to do everything? There is no choice anymore. It's not that you really, it's not, well, this really, really, really is a bad idea, but I can hit all that disadvantage because I've got my increased hit chance. I don't get punished for bringing in this type disadvantaged unit, where maybe you do get lucky and you land it, but it's not that anymore. It's just, I'll hit it, most likely. You slowly lose that. All right, Moon Bunny Dominial. 113, the 4-star Moonlights. All right. Moonlight Wave after. Attacks the enemy with a ethereal Moonlight Wave and has a 75% chance now. 75% chance to put them to sleep for 1 turn. The skill does not trigger a dual attack. Oh! Guys, flow control. Check this out. They thought, though, it was better to increase her effect resistance by 10%, but we're gonna remove a unit whose whole sole purpose is to not get controlled, because we gave him vigor, by the way. We feel that that's too much, but we're gonna give him vigor, attack and defense, but we're gonna remove 30 F-res from him. But we'll increase hers by 10, because that's enough. That's totally gonna make the difference. 10 F-res, you're still screwed. You're not winning the fight by 10 F-res. You're either winning it by 50 or 100. Or you ain't winning it at all. It's unfortunately how it goes. All right, at the start of the enemy's extra turn, dispels all debuffs from all allies and grants skill nullifier for once. Oh, and just to add insult to injury, she's still gonna be able to put up immunity for 2 turns. So now we get to skill null. All right, another mechanic of I take free damage for 1 turn. Why? I'm still salty over the Ran one. Ran getting that, still, I know why they did it. It's because Violet was so prominent at the time. They're like, he can't do it, so we're adding that there. It literally was to stop Violet from soloing him. But why are we going down this thing? Here's the issue that I have with this. It's not necessarily the skill null. It's you don't have a... It's not that there's a consequence for picking to use skill null. So, hear me out. We'll read this. Let's read the Awakening, or the skill 3, and listen to this, and you'll see why I mean this. In accordance with the divinations, grant increased attack and barrier to all allies for 2 turns and increased combat readiness. Barrier strength increased proportional to the caster's max health. All right. Here's the thing. She gets to do skill null for doing nothing. You're immediately, as a player, penalized because she's just sitting there on the team. Skill null. You didn't have to make a choice of, do I put skill null up, but don't grant, I don't get to dispel XYZ, or I don't get to increase my attack and put up a barrier. I don't have to make that choice. It's just done for me. And then the other units that mostly have skill nullifier, guess what? They don't have to make that choice either. They just, oh, here it is, and then I get to take another turn. I don't have, it's not that I have to make the choice of, do I pick skill null or do I pick this other thing? That's part of the issue, is that 90% of this crap is just handed to you for free, with no consequence added behind it. That's the part that bugs me. If it was balanced that you had to make a choice, I don't care that she's getting skill null. Great, that makes sense, but there's no choice. There's no, your choice, sure, you can say and argue with it until you are blue in the face that your choice was putting her on your team. No, because she's now not only going to dispel all the debuffs that are put on you, as long as she's not, she's going to dispel all debuffs. Then, not only then, she's granting you immunity for 2 turns. Now she's going to take her turn, and now she's going to grant you attack buff and a barrier. Now, the barrier is kind of a double-edged sword because there are things like barrier invert, or just Arunca is going to come say hi and blow all sorts of crap up. Your immunity, who needs it? But here's the thing. They felt increasing her effect res was worth it by 10. That only 10 effect res is going to help make the difference. No, you could have slammed that to 50% and it still wouldn't have made crap a difference. It really wouldn't. And now you're giving her free skill null outright. Okay. What in the crap is this? Literally, they are clowns. Super Creative's dev team is a literal bunch of clowns and monkeys. I swear, that is exactly who's running that company right now. They need somebody new in the creative department there. They really, really, really do. Moon Bunny Dominion will see improvements to enhance her ability to protect allies from enemies who grant extra turns. Yes, she will. Her skill, flow, and control. Keep in mind, she's a 4-star ML. She's not even an ML5. ML5, I might could justify that as a, all right, you are an ML5, but an ML4, you're still kind of easy to get. Her skill, flow control, will be changed to dispel all debuffs from all allies at the start of an enemy's extra turn, ensuring that allies receive buffs without concern for debuffs. Why? That's too much in one kit. And furthermore, flow control will now grant skill nullifier instead of barrier, providing more reliable protection against enemies' next attack. Because we felt that it was okay and it was right to give a unit skill null. Okay. Lastly, the chance to put enemies to sleep using her skill Moonlight Wave will be increased, making it easier for her to neutralize dangerous foes. Whatever, 15% still gonna kill you on that. And skill nullifier effect triggered by her skill Divination will be replaced with barrier granted to all allies, effectively enhancing their overall ability. Okay. So, yeah, Moon Bunny Dominion. Here we go. I can't wait. Now, I'm mad at this, and I'm happy at this all at the same time, seeing this name here. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, this unit did not need a buff. There's one unit that needed a nerf, and I was okay, and that unit was perfectly balanced. AOL is the one who needed the nerf. Not Rin needing a buff. The whole reason Crescent Moon Rin dropped off the face of the earth is because your stupid AOL showed up with the ability to not be stunned. Because 90% chance she's outspeeding her because her kit gave her more speed. You could outspeed your AOLs 99.9% of the time with Rin. But because she had the ability to not be stunned, she disappears. This entire rework, before we even read it, does nothing for her. Because that was the whole thing back then. She was speed contesting, she was stunning and locking somebody in place. It was great, it was fantastic. It was a great world. But then, all of a sudden came the ability to not be stunned, and now there was a new, why do we carry this? If the one unit I'm trying to suppress can't be suppressed. That's why she fell off the face of the earth. But here we go. This is why they say, and this is what they think is going to change and make this so much better. So, Heckle attacks the enemy with a ring with a 40% chance to stun. Soulbird increases the effect chance to 100%. All right. So, attacks the enemy, Eye Catcher after. This is her skill 2. Attacks the enemy with a lavish dance and steals 2 buffs. That was always fun. Granting their effects to all allies before stunning the target for 1 turn. Yeah. That's what it was all about back then. When the target has no buffs, decreases the skill cooldown by 1 turn. Curtain Call after Awaken. Crosses rings to attack the enemy, dispelling all of the target's buffs before increasing critical hit damage of all allies for 2 turns. A critical hit will always grant an extra turn. So, they're now getting rid of the immunity out of her kit, which was arguably better, to be fair. And the stealing buffs was great. Like, you know, chances are you weren't using... They're changing it now to where instead of the buffs being granting the extra turn, it's now if you critical hit. Nobody's gonna want to build crit chance on her. The few people who have speed crit next maybe will go for it. But the idea isn't to critical hit and take the turn. It was to steal buffs and set up and remove them from 1 critical unit. That's what she was there for. It was great. It worked wonders. But AOL existed. That was what happened to her. Before then, Crescent Moon Rin was a pretty decent chance at doing something. Like, it wasn't, like, massively used, but it was still a great option at the time. I remember the day she disappeared was the day AOL showed up. That was it. That's literally when she vanished. Crescent Moon Rin will see an overall improvement in her usability through this balance adjustment. Nobody will ever use this unit, I promise you. People will go out and try it during the first week, but this unit will go forgotten within 2 weeks of this balance patch because AOL still exists and still is not in a balance adjustment, removing her ability to be stunned. You remove that one thing, and I will tell you right here, right now, AOL is balanced. You will hear those words come out of my mouth. AOL is perfectly balanced if you just remove the stun, because she can be controlled. And it makes you have to now go, do I build FRES to prevent being stunned, or do I go super greedy and make sure I land debuffs on everyone? It's a choice. That's the part of balance that is supposed to be there. It's the choice. It's not given both. You don't get to get both options. You resist the stun, or you really land all your debuffs. It's not one or the other. Or you do pick that. You are the greedy person who goes both. But then she is paper thin, or a little slower than normal. But it's still balanced because you, the player, had to make a choice. So, firstly, her skill Curtain Call will be changed to critical hit damage instead of granting immunity. That's kind of dumb, but whatever. This boosts the overall offensive capabilities of allies taking their turn. The condition of the extra turn, previously challenging to utilize despite multiple variables. No, it's because everything strips in this darn game. That's what's making this hard to do now. Will be modified to trigger upon a critical hit, thus enhancing her usability. No, because she's a speed contester. You don't build a ton of speed contesters like this. A debuffing speed contester with crit chance. Hi, that's not what you do. Additionally, skill Eye Catcher will be altered to inflict stun after stealing buffs, increasing the overall versatility. One random buff will be granted from her skill tree. Heckle will also be changed to inflict stun, allowing her to consistently suppress enemies. Coincidentally, wait, what? My brain has just shut off. The soul burn effect of Heckle will be adjusted to increase the effect chance. Yes. Okay. All right. ML Ricardo has just become an even more death wish to Summer Asaria users. It really has. It really, really, really has. All right. Malakat's power after. Just skip down to the Blazing Fury subtext. With an outraged cry, grants vigor to the caster for 2 turns, recovering health and increases combat readiness by 25%. Amount recovered increased proportional to the caster's attack. All this is that 5% more is just enough to push me past the even super fast Summer Asarius. Thank you so much for this. Ricardo is going to be blowing by. Absolutely blowing by. The fast Summer Series now. Thank you. Alright, Flames of Destructions. Attacks the enemy, dispelling all buffs before 100% chance to grant, to inflict 2 burns effects for 2 turns. At the end of the turn, detonates the effects. Ignore effects resistance when the caster's granted vigor. Damage dealt, detonation damage dealt increased. Thank you. Because you know what's happened is some of these people have gotten smart over the last, 6 months, and they started building slightly tankier Summer Series, because I kid you not, last season in Guild War, I missed 3 Summer Series from full detonation. And I left 1 at 1 HP. I raged on that. I think I still have the screenshot on my phone from where I detonated that one. If I have it, it'll be in the video right here. If it's not here, I already deleted it because I did a mass deletion of game screenshots, and I probably didn't pay attention to that one. That there was a reason I had this glorious screenshot, because it was 1 HP, and I was furious. I'm like, you're kidding me. Just 1 flat attack would have ended this thing. And then I've left a few short by 100 HP. But 99.99999% of the Summer Series all already were dead. Then, now you're giving me 5 extra CR push? Thank you. I'm blowing by your Summer Series. So now you either are going to need to... I don't think I posted it in Discord. Somebody in chat just asked. No, I don't think I ever posted in Discord because it was just a random guild where I took, and I was like, I need to share this. I know I'm about 90% sure I never shared it. So, yes, thank you. He doesn't need this. Literally, I'll be real, he does not need this, but thanks. It makes it just a little bit easier to deal with. Basically, I'm going in not wondering if I'm going up against the top 200 or top 100 guilds Summer Series. Am I going to cut or not? I'm gonna cut now. It's gonna be great. So, let's see your razor thin, super high damage, high effectiveness Summer Series and all their gloriness. I can't wait to see this defense again. So, ML Ricardo will now receive improvements to enhance his effectiveness against enemies through his attacks that target all allies. His turn acquisition will be simplified. His skills, Blazing Fury, will increase combat readiness gained when attacked by an enemy targeting all allies. Furthermore, the damage dealt by his skill, Flames of Destruction, when detonate burns will be increased, making him more effective to suppress enemies when successfully detonating burns. I can't wait for this. And here's the thing, guys. You think I'm always doom and gloom? You're right, I mostly am. Now, I will go out on the ledge and say this. Does he need this? Absolutely not. Am I happy he's getting it? Yes, because I'm tired of having to wonder if I've completely... It's now made me lazy and having to go fix him. It's all it is. This is a lazy fix for me. I now don't have to fix my gear. I can now just use him as half freaking crap built he is. I don't even have to go back and fix him. And he's going to do his job, and I love it. I'm like, I love seeing the Payra Asaria Ravi team. That one's hilarious. It's like, great. This is going to be easy. And then the Payra's slower than Ricardo, and I'm going, what? I've seen 2 of those, and I lost it. I couldn't believe I was faster, and they were that slow. Somebody forgot to put their gear back on. All right. And now Shadow Knight Phyllis. So Health Rune is getting a change. She's getting 2% more healing in her Health Rune. Her Unity Rune, when an ally is attacked, counterattacked, dual attacked, has a 100% chance. So I guess they're saying just now it's just she's got counterattack on her own? Is she counted as an ally? Because it originally says when an ally except for the caster. Now it's just when an ally is attacked, counterattack, dual attack, or extra attack has a 100% to decrease damage suffered by 30%. When more than one damage reduction effect is granted, only the strongest is applied. Shadow Knight Phyllis will receive improvements aimed at increasing her survivability. The effect of recovering health in the Health Rune is slightly increased. Additionally, the effect of the Unity Rune, which previously granted 2 extra attacks to suffer other than a caster, will be changed to affect an ally. This change will make it easier for her to survive in battle, offering greater resilience. These proposed balance adjustments and improvements that are scheduled for the update on 9/27. I'll tell you what, especially for YouTube, I don't know what I'm looking at here. Out of all of them, the one I'm like most like I'm like easily let pass is the Kawazu and the Phyllis ones. Those are fine. Crescent Moon Rin, yeah, it's great she's getting a buff, but that's not the reason she's not used. This is just you didn't pay attention to your own game, or else you'd realize this. Literally, the biggest buff you could have ever given her is to nerf AOL's stun. That's all you had to do. That's all you had to do was her immunity to stun. And this unit was it was buffed indirectly. Those are the buffs that they need to really consider using here. Domenial. I have no idea what they were smoking when they did that. I don't really care about his. It's whatever. Same with here. They're whatever. K-Rons, I'm 10,000 fixed damage to people to the face. And Ken, you guys are just a bunch of clowns asking for this. Seriously. You guys are a bunch of clowns asking for an ML Ken buff. I'm still more mad at the Lionheart Sarmia buff that you guys praised and jumped up and down about more than I am this, because I can slightly justify him needing to be a little tweaked. But she was absolutely ridiculously not needed. These I justified way more than her. But I'm still mad he's getting this done to him. But hey, now I gotta go dig up an extra 30% FRES somewhere. That's gonna be hard for how deep you already are in his kit. Or we're just gonna lose the 30 FRES. It's really what's gonna happen, I think. Even if I triple S him, still gonna have to. So, Twitch, I know y'all YouTube can't see this. I'll give you guys 2 minutes. If you guys have any questions about the balance patch, we'll answer them here. It's already a long video for YouTube, but 2 minutes just puts us right at an hour, so I don't really care. So yeah, I will put that screenshot in the video if I have it. I'm about 90% sure. I think I can just scroll through my phone actually while I'm waiting for questions. But it's another balance patch. Yes, I am dunking on this fairly hard. There is some good, like, here's the thing. Even the Ken stuff, I can slightly look at going, okay, that's kind of cool. But he doesn't need it. Yeah, that's a great point. There is no artifact buffs this time. And I'm sure we could go tweak a couple artifacts. But that's not where they're going. No, I'm already a year and a half back and all my game screenshots are gone. Darn. So, like, I can kind of see some of these things of him. I honestly, I'm not even like, it's not that I'm dunking on Kayron and saying, Kayron, these buffs are not justified. No, Kayron needed a full kit rework. But I hoped that kit rework was just getting out of the fixed damage thing so they could really dig into his power more and not have to be, here's just 10,000 fixed damage to your face, enjoy. That's not fun, that's not balanced, that's not creative, it's just lazy is what this is. The amount of fixed damage is what is questionable? No, it's 10,000. You get max fighting spirit, it's 10,000 to the face. And then I'm assuming if it's how many ever fighting spirit blocks there is, you're going to divide it probably 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So probably if there's 4 extra fighting spirit blocks, you're going to go up by 2,000 fixed damage per thing. So it's literally just 2,000 fixed damage to the face. So, no, that's what I'm saying. It says it right here. If you read the subtext right here, the maximum fixed damage will remain the same before the changes that will now inflict when fighting spirit is consumed. Even. So, it still stays the same, but it will, it'll be up to 10,000. So, you're going to take 10,000 AoE to the face. Say hello to, Light Rimuru. Say hello to Light Rimuru. Now to see if this is actually viable. So that was the timer. I'm gonna give you guys like 15 seconds because I know there's some slow typers. I know my dad types slow as everything. I mean, he is a pecker. He literally... Lord have mercy. Don't have him have to type a document up. It'll take him all day long. So I know there's a few of you out there. I will, I'll give you guys a couple extra seconds just as a leeway, because, to be fair, I have to witness that. Alright, guys, so that's going to take care of it here on YouTube. So, YouTube, you know where to find me. I can't wait to meet the Karens in the comments. It's going to be fun. We'll see how much I actually decide to argue you guys this week. I got so much stuff to do. I don't even know if I have the energy to do it. But I do ask that anybody who does watch the video and you... actually do agree, make sure to come in and give the Karens some of your mind too, because I do kind of get tired of me being the only one out there doing it. So if you do agree with it, and let other people hear it, that it's not just me saying this crap. More people should step up and say, some of this stuff is not okay. Some of this stuff is not okay. But here we are. We live with it. We take it. We roll with it. So, YouTube, take care. We'll see you guys next week. Hit me up in the comments. Be interested to see some of your ideas. And we'll see you guys in the next one.